Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today we are talking about the one and only Turbo, ladies and gentlemen. I am super excited to talk about this coin, right? We do have a few updates, which right away I'm going to bring up right over here. We can see, right, Kata AI is here. The Katana Inu, you'll be able to talk to characters using your voice, ask questions, give commands, or just vibe. It's early, but real, right? We're blending AI plus Web3 gaming to create deeper, more immersive experiences. Check out the video to experience real-time voice interactions with NPCs powered by LLM tech, right? Ask your questions about the projects we're collaborating on and start a real conversation. And look, we can see Turbo is tagged. So Turbo will be collaborating with this game. Once again, we are, diving into another narrative. We ourselves are not creating a game, but we are collaborating with people from different narratives. And this is what I like to see. Gaming is always going to be one of the stronger narratives out there. For me, it comes down to AI, memes, DeFi, and there's a few other ones, right? Real world assets, and then gaming is solid, right? Gaming is like that 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 narrative. So that's what I love to see. Absolutely excited. In terms of that, there is no other news, but that's okay. We already know Turbo has practically almost completed the game when it comes to doing news. So any little thing they you know collaborate with, another exchange or something that I don't see coming away is always just a massive W, because it's most likely that 99% of these meme coins are not doing the same type of moves as Turbo is. I still do believe we will get listed on Robinhood. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, in my personal opinion. When it comes to Turbo's price action, ladies and gentlemen, we can see when we go to the weekly, we actually closed decently solid, right? We were a little bit higher, but that is okay. That is just the name of the game. We can see on Sunday we did sell off a little bit before before the new weekly candle. As of right now, we are most likely looking to be going a little lower, generally speaking, just to get some momentum, right? We have to see how this 4 hour candle closes, but there's a good chance that we could close something like this. This goes like here to 0.0175 before we continue pushing up, right? We were talking about, just a couple of days ago, how the two probable areas for retests will be somewhere roughly over here, right? And somewhere over here, which we're at right now. So, this more depends on Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance than Turbo itself. Turbo has generally been super bullish. Even back here when, there was some type of retracement, which is very minor, other coins were, some of them were completely engulfing, meaning that whatever price action, that happened over here with the pumps, it just went straight back down, or it went pretty deep, like 50% or 70%, or just fully, just straight went back down, almost 100%. And Turbo, no, Turbo barely nudged. In fact, Turbo consolidated very high before breaking out again. And now we can see that we are, getting some type of correction. We can see that we broke below this zone here. We are creating lower highs, but I am not really worrying, because whatever type of channel we're going to be in, I do believe we are going to break out further. Okay. So, like I said, still technically the best weekly candle we've had in a very long time. In a very long time. You could debate, this one was a little bit better, but the context was different. And like I said, yeah, potential early signs of reversals. We will monitor everything for the next, 2 to 3 days to get more confirmations. Sometimes we just have to simply wait and see, see what happens, right? Here you can see I was just messing around, but Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin at this current moment, it is consolidating. It is consolidating, and we are looking to be, potentially breaking out, right? If I go on the 4 hour chart, we are creating lower lows, but we are also creating higher lows. So in the next couple hours, we'll know how price breaks out. This is one of those things where you don't have to be an expert. This is one of those things you can just sit out when it comes to like trading, like leverage trading, right? Because we can see, we are coming to a stalemate and we do have to choose a direction. We can see that overall, I do believe we are fairly bullish. When we go to the daily price action candles, we can see over here there is a order block which we might tap into, right? So this is a zone I'd be looking for some type of pullback, some type of retracement, something like this, right? More or less down to here, right? So if we do fail to go higher, we most likely will break this structure that's over here around $83,000 to $84,000, coming back down for little pullbacks to then spring up to the $87,000 mark, right? We do have this little candle right here, which we most likely will sell off of once we get to, plus we are going to be at this zone right over here, right? So we may get a little bit of a sell-off once we go to $87,000, but we'll have to monitor everything, ladies and gentlemen. Overall, it is looking really solid. We will talk about Bitcoin dominance just for a second because this is relevant for Turbo, right? When we go to the hourly candles, we could see we are actually, coming up to pretty much near the relevant highs, right? We're not quite there yet, but these are the last two relevant highs, and we are technically like the third highest high at this current moment that's relevant. So we can see Bitcoin dominance going up, which is why probably altcoins are struggling a little bit too. But that's okay because that's part of the game. At the end of the day, we want this to practically go all the way to 69 to 71% before we get a nice crash, because that is when the true altcoin season will happen. That is when the true money will be getting printed, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So yeah, we will look at Turbo and its market cap. Decent market cap, 135 million, 55 million volume, which is what we like to see. We are very, very active. When we go to the Ether scan, ladies and gentlemen, we can see, like I said, right, we are slowly going down in holders very, very slowly during our worst times, which is like nothing, right? Who cares if you lose an average of, or if you lost 20, 30 holders in a span of a week for some of the worst weeks, right? Like, who cares? Because we can see right away we bounced up. The moment there was some type of little green, we bounced up from 51,000 or 53,157 all the way up to 53,260. So 100 more holders practically, okay? And the crazy thing is this is, at the bottoms, right? This is Turbo gaining momentum at the bottoms. Imagine once we start reclaiming certain levels that we talked about before, once altcoin season bandwagon starts happening, once Turbo starts creating new highs and starts pumping, right? The bandwagon will be here. Like I said before, Turbo moves in massive, massive bursts. So just look out for that. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.